Hello guys. Today I wanted to share my immigration experience. If you guys follow me on my Facebook or Instagram, I've kind of spoken about me going through some chaotic weeks the past few weeks. And it all has to do with my immigration process. This definitely has been a roller coaster ride. A lot of awesome things have happened, but also a lot of bad things have happened. I feel like God has really just shown me his miracles and shown me what he can do when you just trust him. Let's just get right into what happened. It's kind of a long story, but I feel like my story could possibly help other people going through the same process, as well as maybe just motivate some of you guys who are going through hard times. So I'm heading to work on a Friday at 5 a.m. and I get a call from my husband on my way to work, which is weird because he was at home sleeping. So he calls me and he tells me I just got an email from the NVC, which is the National Visa Center, and they had finally given us our appointment for our immigration interview. So we've been waiting for this appointment for over a year. My application got approved in May of 2020, and that was right in the middle of the pandemic. But yeah, so I've been waiting over a year, and you know, due to the pandemic, it's just been, everything's been delayed. Them servicing appointments, because they can only see so many people at a time, and then with the closing of the borders and all that. So yeah, my appointment just kept getting delayed. They had no real timeline on when it was gonna get set up. So anyway, so it just came out of the blue. 5:30 in the morning, we got the email, and I was just so excited. I was like, oh my God, finally, thank you God, like I'm so glad. But then this is where the ride starts, you know, getting crazy. So, you know, we look at the email a little bit closer and we realize the appointment is in 10 days from now. And that is not that much time. Second of all, we noticed that it's in Mexico, which we were a little bit confused because all of our immigration appointments have always been in the United States. So we weren't like 100% sure why it was in Mexico. And it's just a case-by-case situation as well. Some people have it in out of the country, some people have it in the country, depending on your visa. So we're like, okay, we gotta go to Mexico in 10 days. We do further research, and it's like, they say after you do the interview and you get approved, you can get your visa, which is what you need to enter the United States. You need the visa stamp in your passport. You can get it anywhere between 3 days to 12 days after the interview, but they do not have any guarantee on when that will be. So that means we're gonna be out of the country for anywhere between 5 days, because it's 3 days after the appointment, and I had to get there before that as well to get a medical exam that also had to be in Mexico. So I'm gonna be out of the country from anywhere between 5 days to 2 weeks. So I'm like, okay, this is starting to get stressful. First of all, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not really in a position where I can just drop everything and leave. And also, just when it comes to work, like, I don't think any job really appreciates you giving them a 10 days notice that you're gonna be you're not gonna be at work for an unknown amount of time. So yeah, the stress was starting to build up. On top of that, we had to find a dog sitter for that time because we have a dog, and we can't just, you know, leave them. We don't have any family here. We have friends, but they all work, and you know, so we're gonna try to figure that out. We have to figure out plane tickets and transportation, and we have to figure out where we're gonna stay. So yeah, it's just all starting to add up. And then the worst part, or the part that was giving me the most anxiety, was we opened up my husband's passport because we're starting to get, all our paperwork together, and we noticed that his passport's expired. That was just like the cherry on top. So we're like, okay, like let's try to expedite it. We find out that because of the pandemic, even if you expedite your passport, it takes up to like 3 months to get it back. I made a Facebook post and I reached out and asked, does anybody know how we can get a passport quick, or like what are the processing times that people have experienced with getting their passport expedited? And one of my friends, she actually suggested I reach out to the local district senator for my region and ask them to petition for me. And I looked it up, and sure enough, that is an option you can do. You can ask your senator, I'm not sure if it's the senator, but it's your congressman for your district. You can ask them to petition for you to get your visa super expedited, which you would get it in 3 days. But this is for emergency reasons only. And usually that emergency reason is life or death. And unless you have a really great explanation for why your case is an emergency, it can get approved. So I wasn't sure if this was an emergency. This was my, green card application. I've been waiting for over a year. And at that moment, we really thought that my husband had to be there with me for my interview. So I was like, well, if he's not with me, I'm not gonna get approved. And as far as rescheduling the appointment, they're really strict on it. You can reschedule, but it has to be, for an emergency, and they can't guarantee when your next appointment's gonna be, because they have to go in order as they receive them, and they can only give out so many visas per year. So if I miss this appointment, I have no idea when my next appointment would be. On top of that, I have DACA right now, and if you guys don't know, the Texas state senator just passed that DACA is unconstitutional, and basically they're ending the program, which means it's just like a lot of uncertainty with my future. Like, am I gonna still be able to work? I think at the moment they are still renewing. If you already have DACA, you might still be able to hold on to it, but it's just so shaky and it's so up in the air, and who knows if some other senator in some other state is just gonna, cancel the whole thing. So yeah, my DACA was actually gonna expire within the month. And I was already in the process of renewing it, but I haven't gotten the renewal yet. So I was just gonna be in this limbo where like my work permit was gonna be expired, my driver's license was gonna be expired. So I just really, disappointment for the visa came at the perfect moment, and I just, I couldn't cancel it. I had to be there. So yeah, we were this close to contacting our district congressman, but after a little bit more research, we found out that my husband did not have to be there with me. So that kind of took a lot of stress off my chest, or our chest, because we were both stressed out. But now I had to find somebody to go with me because I didn't want to go by myself. This was already a very stressful appointment, and on top of that, I don't know if I could handle just being alone in a country where I don't know where anything is. And yeah, so we were calling my aunts, my parents. They're contacting friends that they knew. Hopefully, somebody could be there for me. At the end, my dad was able to come with me. I felt really bad though, because he was in the middle of a vacation with his wife, so yeah, I kind of had to cancel his vacation short. So yeah, that's Monday. So now it's Tuesday, so now it's definitely a week from my appointment, and I need to figure out how I'm gonna get there. Flying directly into Juarez, Mexico, which is where my appointment was. Flying directly into Juarez was gonna be $800. Flying to El Paso, Texas was gonna be $500, and then from there I could take a taxi over the border. So yeah, those were my two options: pay $800 or $500 and the taxi fare. I opted for just flying into Texas. My dad met up with me there, and then we got a taxi. The taxi ended up being $120 to get us over to our hotel in Mexico. So yeah, that was expensive. But the other hard part about that was trying to decide, okay, do I want to get a one-way plane ticket? The Visa website says, because they can't guarantee when you're going to get your passport back, we suggest you get a one-way ticket so you don't miss your return flight. Yeah, that was hard. Obviously, the round trip is always the better deal, but then you risk missing your return trip and having to reschedule and all that. But you know, I risked it. I got a round trip. I was praying that I would get my visa back in the minimum amount of days, which was the 3 days after the appointment. So my appointment is on Tuesday. 3 days from then would have been Saturday. So I had my return flight for Saturday evening. And from there, it was just leaving it up to God and trusting that, you know, if it's meant to be, I'll get it Saturday. And if not, I got that traveler's insurance. So if anything did go wrong, I could reschedule and hopefully maybe get some of my money back. Okay, so now here's like the crazy part that happened during the whole actual being in Mexico. Went to go get my medical exam on Monday morning, 6 a.m. Was there for 4.5 hours. Whatever, I don't care. It was really easy. Got it over with. Went back to the hotel, and I was just relaxing. The next day, Tuesday, was my first part of my interview at 2 p.m. So I'm just like, the whole day before that, I'm just like kind of stressed out, just trying to, you know, make sure I have all my paperwork. I'm just trying to be like fully relaxed and prepared for the next day. So the next day comes around and we get there an hour early just because, you know, we just want to be early. It's kind of like the DNB, like even if you have an appointment at a certain time, they just kind of, you still have to line up and they'll kind of get to you when they get to you. So we wanted to get there early. So I finally get to the front of the line around like, I want to say like 1:30, and the guy who's checking my paperwork to make sure I have everything, he's like, oh, where's your biometrics? Which is like your fingerprints and your photos. And I was like so confused because I honestly thought that this was why I was here. Like this was going to be the first part of my interview process, was going to be the biometrics. And he's like, no, you were supposed to have gotten that before coming here. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then on the paper, on the original email, it gives you your appointment. Gives you the time, gives you the date, gives you the location. And that's all I was looking at. On the confirmation email, once you confirm your appointment, they send you another email. And on that confirmation email, it gives you the same appointment, but then it also gives you another date for your biometrics. And I totally had overseen that. I overlooked it. I think I just must have been so stressed. All I paid attention to was the main interview appointment, which was a 2 p.m. Tuesday. But turns out my biometrics had been the day before. at 11 a.m. and I had missed it. So at this point, I'm starting to freak out. But the guy was just like, yeah, just go to that building over there. It's about like a 6-minute walk. It's like next door, but it's like, these are like huge government buildings, so you kind of have to walk a long way to get around to it. So yeah, he's like, go over to that building. That's where you get the biometrics and try to get them. And I was like, okay. So I go over there. I go up to the security guard and I ask him, hey, is there any way I can get in to get my biometrics? Because everything's by appointment. They always check to make sure you have an appointment. And I let them know, like, hey, I am really sorry, but I missed my appointment yesterday. I thought it was today at 2 p.m. And he let me line up. And he's like, I don't know if they're going to let you do it, but go ahead, line up and see what they say. I got to the front. Finally, I had to wait in line again. And also when I got there, they were closed because they were cleaning and sanitizing everything, which they do a couple times a day. So I just happened to come during this time where they were sanitizing. So I had to wait for them to reopen, and then second, I had to wait in line to get to the front of the, where they actually talk to you, I guess. Anyways, I got up there. Thankfully, the guy let me in. Woo! Because I was so stressed that they were going to be like, nope, you missed it. You got to go. But no, he honestly didn't really care. He was like, okay, here you go. Like, did my biometrics and sent me on my way. By that time, it had been like over an hour. Went there, got my biometrics, came back. The guy checked my paperwork again. At this time, it is 2:40 p.m. My appointment was at 2. It is 2:40 p.m. He checks me in. He tells me I can go in. I go into the building. I go to the waiting area. And I'm literally the last person there. Luckily, there were still a few people in front of me. So they were still doing all of this. But yeah, got to the front. The guy took my paperwork that he needed from me. He took my passport. He took my taxes. He took my husband's birth certificate, which also, thank you God, I brought it because I was this close to not bringing my husband's original copy of his birth certificate. I was just gonna get a copy of it, but no, they needed the original, and luckily I did bring the original copy of his birth certificate. So they took that and they were like, great. They gave me a blue sheet and they said, here's your appointment for tomorrow. Be back at 7 a.m. And at that time, we'll do the actual interview process or interview questions. So, whew. Yeah, that was stressful having to run around. I also had like these flats, so I couldn't even run because every time I would take like really fast steps, the back of my shoe would kind of come off my foot. So I was just kind of speed walking, wobbling all the way there to the other building and back. But anyways, got that over with. Next day was my appointment. It was easy peasy. Literally, they only asked me a few questions. They asked me maybe like 7 questions. It was like a 10-minute interview. Another part that kind of made my heart sink was the guy asked me if I had my previous DACA approval notices, which I hadn't, which I didn't because that wasn't part of the necessary documents I needed to bring. So I didn't think he was gonna ask for it. So yeah, my heart sank and I was like, oh my God, like, no, I don't have them. I'm sorry, I didn't know I needed them. But luckily I had my current DACA and work employment authorization on me. So I showed him that. And I think he was able to look me up in the system. So he found all my other previous documentation. At the end of all that, he approved me. It happened so fast, I wasn't even able to like react. He was just kind of like writing some things down and he just like nonchalantly said like, okay, you're approved. And I was like, what? I am? Like, it just caught me so off guard. I couldn't like react, but yeah, I was so happy. I asked the guy, how long is it gonna take for me to get my visa or my passport back? And he said it was gonna take anywhere between 3 to 14 days. So 3 days from now would have been Saturday. So I was like, okay, that's fine. I got through the hardest part, which was getting to the appointment and getting approved. So if all I have to wait for the visa, I'm okay with that. Went back home. Even though I knew I wasn't gonna get an email, I was still checking my email, making sure they weren't randomly like, hey, it's ready. So yeah, didn't get anything that night. Wednesday, checked all day Thursday, didn't get anything. Friday morning, I woke up at 7:30 and I checked my email, didn't see anything. My dad called me at like 7:35 because he was downstairs getting the complimentary breakfast at the hotel. And he asked me if I had checked my email, and I told him, yeah, I just did. There was nothing there. And he's like, oh, why don't you just like check again? So I did. I was like, whatever, I'll just check again. I checked again, and sure enough, it said your visa is ready to be picked up. So I ran downstairs, got some quick breakfast. We both ran back upstairs, packed all our bags, went over to where you go pick up your visa, picked it up. We crossed the border, and by 12 p.m. we were back stateside. We were having lunch at a little diner in El Paso, Texas, and yeah. Can you guys believe that? Like, honestly, I was not expecting it to get it Friday morning. So that means I got it in 2 days. I was really thinking I was gonna get it Saturday morning, and I was kind of stressing out because I'm like, okay, you have to line up to get your visa packet. We waited in line for like 40 minutes to get my visa. We had to go through customs. They had to verify my visa, make sure it was all good. Yeah, that took like another hour because I don't know, they were just not doing anything. Like they were just sitting behind their desk, and there was like people waiting, but they weren't taking anybody. So I don't really know what was going on there, but they were not seeing anybody for like an hour. So we were all just sitting there patiently waiting for them to take us. I'm just thankful that didn't happen Saturday, because that would have been like a whole process. And then on top of that, you know, driving to the airport and all that, and then going through security at the airport. So I would have just been cutting it really close Saturday. But yeah, I'm just glad it worked out the way it did. I am now back home. I have my visa, and now I'm just waiting for them to mail me my green card. But yeah, so if you guys were one of my friends or family who reached out to me along the way and checked in on me or offered help in any way, I really appreciate you guys. This experience has really opened my eyes to the community that I have around me. A lot of times I just want to do everything myself. Even this whole process, I never hired a lawyer. I just did it all myself. And I just don't like to bother other people, because I know everybody has their own lives and their own problems they're going through. But yeah, I just really appreciate everybody who helped me and reached out to me. This also, you know, made me trust God even more, because a lot of these things that happened were kind of out of my control. I had no idea how things were going to play out. And I just, you know, left it up to God. I just said, like, God, like, I trust that your timing is perfect, and I know that if it's meant to be, it will be. And I know that your way is the best way for me. Even if I want it a certain way, like, it's not up to us. Like, God has the perfect story and timeline for you. So yeah, I just trusted him, and everything worked out, and I'm just so thankful for that. But yeah, so that's why I've been stressed the past few weeks. I was literally having anxiety attacks like every day before my trip, and I like never really do. But I was literally just like thinking of all the things that could go wrong, and just, yeah, it was just a crazy experience. Anyways, if you guys are still here listening to this story, thank you for watching it. Remember to be kind to people, because you just never know what they're going through. And I also realized, well, I mean, I already knew this, but like, it just made me think about, like, when people ask for prayers, they really do need them. They really are in dire need, and I would just reach out to those people, because one, yes, prayer works, but two, you guys are physical people who can go out there and do so much for people. You can, you know, give them some money, give them a helping hand, whatever they need, you know, like, I'm sure they'll appreciate it. But you as a person definitely have that power to change somebody's world and help them out. So anyways, I love you guys, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.